Good day, Astro Action coming to you February the 10th, 2026. This video will concern the crypto markets, specifically Bitcoin. So stick around if that's something that interests you, or if you're interested in astrology generally. There's some pretty cool stuff I'm going to uncover for you here. This is in no way financial advice. I am not a financial advisor of any sort. This is pure speculation and for purely entertainment purposes only. This is some more deep technical astrology concerning the chart of Bitcoin, which I'm going to get into shortly, but I'm going to start out with the beauty of the graphic ephemeris. It's considered a little more advanced astrology. It's kind of nerdy stuff, but you'll understand the beauty of this given time. Okay? Imagine that you're looking at the transit chart around a natal chart, right? Those two wheels, and you're deciphering all that information in a given day, one single date, as it affects or provides opportunities for that person or that business or that digital coin or whatever. But you're only looking at one day, right? Well, a graphic ephemeris, say one of these two pages I have here, see, in this setup, I'm looking at, on one page, 6 months of days. So like 180 days at once, if you will. Put both of these pages together, I got the whole 365 days, the whole year of well, in this sense, the second half of 2025 and the first half of 2026. So 12 months. So I can get a real bird's eye view of the flow of these influences over time that shape the reality, the experience of the subject. I could plot those points from that particular natal chart, whether it's Bitcoin or anything else, into this graphic ephemeris as well. Okay, it looks like a lot of spaghetti lines and stuff, but these are actually the representation of the movements of the planets through the sky in that 12-month period. Okay, and it's using a certain mode, a 90-degree mode. Okay, stick with me here. This is going to be about as technical as it gets, and you don't have to get too deep into this, but you get a general sense of what I'm saying here. If you look to the left here, I hope you're using a big screen for this video viewing, as any technical chart would really benefit you. To dig in a little bit, as you see, I have the Genesis block, the name here, but these lines are kind of more or less moving up and down. Could be for any, would be laying over anybody's chart, which is represented by these straight horizontal lines. See, those are the fixed lines of the natal chart. These are the moving transiting lines, all these spaghetti lines thrown all over the place. Okay, so something's moving, you can tell that at least. Think of it as moving from top to bottom, left to right in some way, right? And these lines are moving at different rates, which are correlated to the rates of the planets through the sky. Okay. So we got about a 6 month period here. You can see July, August, September, October, November, December, etc. on the first page. Now over here it says 0C, 0F, 0M. So we have 1/3 of the chart represents the cardinal signs. The middle third is the fixed signs, and the final third is the mutable signs. So what this is doing is a 90-degree ephemeris, graphic ephemeris, showing that any time two lines cross, you have what's considered a hard aspect in astrology. Okay, so that you probably learned this, that anything you can think of hard as just challenging or something really more intense and dramatic happening, some kind of real shift. Okay, not as smooth and harmonious as the softer aspects, you could say. The harder aspects are the conjunction, the square, waxing or waning square, and the opposition. So it's just those things: the conjunction, square, opposition. Okay, those are the let's say intense turning points where a new phase is really birthed. So I like the 90-degree ephemeris because it's really going to show you those more significant events that are challenging and birth something new. Okay. So anytime a line is crossing really any other line, whether it's a squiggly spaghetti line or a horizontal line, we got some kind of hard aspect. And what happens is that they end up grouping, and anything happening in the cardinal signs, those 4 cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, will be in this first top third. Okay? You know, this is the cardinal phase. All those 4 cardinal signs are condensed in this top third. Okay, that's for you to decipher if you're really familiar with these charts, the transit and the natal chart. You'll know that, say, this swooping line here is the Jupiter line. It's got Jupiter labeled right here. You'll know that, oh yeah, well, I know Jupiter's in Cancer in this period. You know, it's there for a year in that sign, basically. Oh, this is the Cancer. This is the cardinal group up here at the top, okay? And it's crossing, say it's crossing my moon that's also in a cardinal sign, and I'll know what my moon sign is. Oh, there's my Jupiter crossing my moon in, you know, late August. Oh, okay, that's a pretty big one to keep focus on. Right? So I think you get what I'm saying. Now the same with the fixed sign in the middle. Now we're in the fixed zone through the middle here. And then we're finally in the mutable group down here. So you see that, like, Saturn is at the very bottom in Pisces in the last sign of the zodiac, the mutable sign. And and what's cool is that they're not always going sort of straight up and down, are they? They're actually going back up, like this little swooping little guy here. This is Mercury in its retrograde, going back up, retracing the zodiac. See, conjuncting the sun right here. Ah, okay, you're starting to get it now, right? So even these, what I'm going to get to here is that even these slow outer planets that do retrograde, you can see that they're backtracking through the zodiac. Look at the Uranus line here, very distant. The planet that doubled the size of the known solar system when it was discovered in the 1700s. Here it is, Uranus. Uranus the magician, the revolutionary. It was going direct motion down here, and it stopped. It bottomed out, sort of speak. It was just stationary, very slow. It was kind of doing nothing, neither going up or down, right? Then it starts going back up. It swoops up. See, that's the retrograde of Uranus. Okay, so that principle is a little bit on hold. It's not really as outwardly manifested, as astrologers would say. Okay, and then it's going to go forward again. Okay, that's an example. Same thing with Jupiter. Jupiter's going in direct motion over here in summer of 2025. Then stopping for a bit, going back. No, its line is more clearly visible because has a 12-year cycle instead of an 84-year cycle at Uranus. So its motion across the zodiac is more, easy to notice. So anyway, so that's basically how the graphic ephemeris works. You can see the 3 retrogrades through a year, roughly, of Mercury, retrogrades of Mercury, the little devil Mercury. 3-week period, retrograde there, retrograde here, or retrograde here. And then you have the sun line here, which they've very nicely plotted the full moons, new moon, full moon, new moon, full moon. So you know that's the sun line, and the sun doesn't go retrograde, it's just direct. But you can see Mercury swooping around the sun, right? And you'll see Venus do that as well, Mars. So you can track all these retrogrades, great. So what was concerning me when I first started looking into Bitcoin back in the fall of 2025, what most caught my eye was that we're talking about digital money, right? Money is Taurus, digital technology is Uranus. In the truly revolutionary sense, I was like, wait a minute, this Bitcoin is completely reflected in the transit of Uranus through Taurus for 7 years, right? And we're coming to the end of that 7-year period. So what's going on with that, right? I was looking into it, say, in October here. And what I was noting was that Uranus was going to station in February 2026 and go forward in Taurus, forward motion. Things start moving again. That was my big signal through the noise. There's something happening here. I could talk about, I don't want to get too off track with talking about the Clarity bill and what happened with that, but I'm really looking for this February, I said 5th, but it was really technically the evening of the 3rd. And talk about a standstill energy, right? When it's not going up or down, right here, it sort of flattens out. Okay, and then when it actually moves forward, like I like to say that this true moment of stationary, that archetypal principle sort of rings out through the universe. It's like, imagine if something's moving and then it just stops and changes direction, and that stationary standstill its influence is just really strong. So it's natural that a revolutionary, disruptive, shocking planet like Uranus would shake the markets somehow, shake the world. Now we had the whole Epstein thing. The whole world's just shaking into pieces, right? I mean, none of the influencers can handle it all, can juggle all this information, especially when you're trying to tie it into the market. So Bitcoin dropped historically $10,000 in one day and rebounded to $10,000. Like, this is like, I can't remember, this is the day of the 5th, the 6th, 4th, 5th, 6th, something like that. So there it is. I was like, I'm not surprised at all, okay, that the disruptive effect of the Uranus station did that. But on the other side of it, what's on the other side of it? Did it represent a bottom for Bitcoin? Or is it going to keep going down? Well, if Uranus is in direct motion, that means that full steam ahead, it's progress. Things are moving forward. And even the Bitcoin, once the dust settled from this stuff last week, even like the guys at Simply Bitcoin had a turnaround. One of them was quite bullish for the past few months. And then after the weekend, it completely changed their tune because of the whole, Michael Saylor appearing in the back of a photo bombing at Mar-a-Lago and all this stuff. You just go check out that video. But it's quite funny. Those guys are great. But there was a turn away from the bearishness. I'm sorry, that dude was bearish, and now he's all in bullish. If something flipped the switch, right? And this talk about the Trump creating a Bitcoin reserve for the U.S. That possibility is much more strongly on the table, and that would be a mega trigger for the price to go up, etc. So the bullish Taurus influence is certainly there in that forward motion of Uranus, the planet of revolution. I think of Bitcoin as completely reflected in the Uranus, the Taurus transit, which it generally went up in that 7 years dramatically, by the way. And this idea of it being the people's money, and also the Pluto and Aquarius transit we just started as Trump entered office. That too represents the transformation in the financial markets relative to technology. And Pluto is one of the financial planets. It rules Scorpio. You get the Scorpio-Taurus polarity, represents the banks and the traders, okay? Pluto rules Scorpio. It's now in Aquarius, which is the people. So it's the idea of the people's money, okay? And the decentralization. of currency. Those two planets in particular, in their transit. So we were waiting for Uranus to go direct, and it just did. So, wow. And dramatic things have happened. And I think it's a bullish turn. I think it's a bottom, okay? Now, that's enough about this beauty of the graphic ephemeris by simply seeing this Uranus stationary direct period here, which happens, see, just as we're about to get into a Mercury retrograde, okay? So I'm going to have to put up another video looking forward to this business here, okay? And what that might mean. But generally, I think it's my opinion. This is not financial advice. Is that we're generally going to, I think, hit a bottom, and you know, there could be some zigzag up and down motion in the price, but I think it's on the way up. Putting away the graphic ephemeris. In the inner wheel, I have the Genesis block, the basically the natal chart of Bitcoin. When the first block in this public ledger, the first ever digital public ledger, was birthed onto the internet. January 4th, 2009, 6:05 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So we have the Uranus and Taurus stationary direct right there. See, over here, there's Uranus, the revolutionary planet of sudden shock, very uplifting and liberating, emancipatory influence, liberating us from the shackles of the banking system, probably, and the government control of money. And it's in the sign of money and possessions and values and hard assets, hard physical things. Taurus stops in the sky after going backwards across the zodiac, and then begins to move forward on February the 4th, 2026. The big shakeup I just described. Now, it is in the first house in this chart, which bodes well in terms of a feeling of new beginnings. Like they like to say, hey, you are not late for Bitcoin. We are just at the beginning. Okay, I still think is a vibe in the air that people are feeling now, even though it dropped to quite the lowest point that we've seen in years. Because that's a bottom, and it's a great time to get in, even though this is not financial advice. It's possibly a good time to get in. It did rebound equally dramatically the very next day, back from 60 to 70,000. Okay. So what I'm looking at here is, well, this is 27 Taurus. What my eye does is it looks into the natal wheel of the Genesis block, and I'm trying to find what's close to 27 Taurus. What aspect, exact mathematical aspect, did it make to this internal wiring, the internal reality of Bitcoin itself, right? This is what you would do with your own natal chart. And first time I looked at this one, I didn't see too much, right? I overlooked a couple of things. But Uranus trined Saturn widely. Saturn's at 21 Virgo. Okay, so, you know, Saturn and Virgo, hard work. There's still a lot of work to be done. Okay. That could be productive. Okay, the moon was in Virgo, actually. A lot of details to be ironed out. A lot of analysis going on, that's for sure, as always. The South Node's in Virgo here transiting. I guess it's a more interesting event rather than a depressing event. But what I overlooked the first time is, oh wow, Jupiter is 29 Capricorn at the midheaven in the top here. See Jupiter? Jupiter's expansion, growth, it's the definition of hope, hopium, if you will. And Uranus is in a trine to that. That's great. Remember, this is the strong, powerful influence, and it's in a flowing angle to Jupiter in Capricorn, which is optimism, hope in the future. Capricorn is also the government, the higher up, so that may be something that does point to moves that the highest people are making, i.e. President Trump, okay, in terms of the Bitcoin, strategic Bitcoin reserve possibility, right? Ah, that's very nice. That's at least very hopeful. Jupiter's not in a great position in Capricorn. It's a bit of a pessimistic sign, actually, but it's a very sober, business, strategic, there's that word, sign, you know, of just taking action on the basis of your wisdom and experience, right? But you kind of can't beat that. Jupiter-Uranus connection is it shows up in a lot of very exciting technological revolutions in the past. If you look at Rick Tarnas's book, Cosmos and Psyche, that's a really good indicator right there. And otherwise I don't see too much exact activity between these two wheels, but I'll take that for sure. And it's trying the asteroid partnership, I'd say here too. 23 Taurus Juno right next to Jupiter, so maybe there's some important partnership activity there. That could be the Sailor connection, the Mar-a-Lago photobomb moment. Who knows? Interesting. But since I didn't see a lot, I would say that, well, what this is signaling is that when Uranus goes into Gemini, it's only 3 degrees away, a few degrees away from now. That's the next big move that we're going to see, is Uranus entering Gemini, which is just like you ain't seen nothing yet. Like, we've just dipped our toes into a new, exciting, exhilarating, revolutionary future. Say back in the summer of 2025, when we had Uranus already in Gemini. Remember, it retrograded. Okay, so it was 0 Gemini. Neptune was 0 Aries, that it's in now too, by the way, already. And Pluto was 0 Aquarius. So all three of these big planets, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, were all in harmonious alignment, in air and fire. And what happened? The price, reached its all-time high and just stayed up there generally through the roughly summer of 2025, right? That's the first thing I noticed. I thought that was just sort of like the universe being in harmony and peace and harmony, and just allowing Bitcoin to hang out up there in the 120,000 spectrum, roughly. Did notice that. And now that's come out of focus as the planets have kind of moved gradually in the sky. But they're coming back into focus, okay? And as Uranus hits that 0 Gemini, things are really going to pick up. When is that? Well, we got the graphic ephemeris to show us, but I meant to pick that date up a little bit quicker for you here. I'll show you. That could be a little bit further out, but we're going to see the kinds of aspects that it's going to make when it hits 0 Gemini. Let's see. Round and round we go. Let's see, this might take just a little while. I'm going to do this more quickly for you. One second. Have a sip of your coffee. Uranus will hit Gemini on, bam, April the 25th, 2026. Okay. Here's a chart when it does that specifically. See, there's the Uranus and Gemini. Ooh, that's nice. Venus will be just crossing over it, so that's an indication of something in the financial markets uh, improving and livening up quite a bit, because Venus rules money and value and beauty. It will be coalescing with that entrance of Uranus into Gemini for real. It was going to stay in there for 7 years officially. And that can represent a lot of things. Also, anything connected to technology, including AI, of course. But that's quite nice that Venus will be conjuncting that. That's a radicalization of the financial market somehow. Could it be the adoption of Bitcoin further? Excitement surrounding digital technology, an attraction to it, Venus. And we also have this, that's all generally going to be trining Pluto in Aquarius. See? Of course, now we're going to already have Saturn and Neptune in Aries, the sign of the springtime, of the alpha, the beginning of all things. A lot of Aries energy. Of course, it's going to be April. It's going to be Aries season, Aries Taurus, things growing. That's a financial sign, of course, Taurus, the farmer, the slow progression and patience for growth. But I want to see in this, as it goes around the Bitcoin chart, that Uranus Gemini is going to, check this out, square Venus, Pisces here, see? A challenge with opportunity. Okay, so what I'm seeing there, that could be a shakeup in the, it's waxing, it's on the increase, it's a waxing square. Okay, that's good. That's good. We're breaking into new territory. Okay, right there. They'll be trining Mercury in Aquarius. That's good for business. Mercury rules business in general. It will be quincunxed Pluto in Capricorn. Here's Pluto in Pluto in Capricorn in this Bitcoin block, Genesis block chart, right, from back 2009. Pluto in Capricorn here. That'll be a quincunx, which is a radical adjustment. Could it be a radical adjustment in terms of getting the clarity bill because of the government being involved? Capricorn rules the government, see? Very uncomfortable, but an angle that acts like a lever, and with a lever you can move the world. Will the world be moved through the Clarity Act via digital currency being cleared up and used as a tool of new leverage? It is a lever, right? And then those are the highlights of that transit of the Uranus station around the Genesis block chart. And then I'm going to leave that up for a second. I'm going to show you, I had to dig in a little deeper because I didn't find too many aspects. So I thought, you know what, it's going to be I bet it's hitting some of the midpoints. A little bit more advanced astrology here. Midpoints would be the midpoints between the various planets within the Genesis block chart. So here's the sun and here's the moon. Those would be important. What's the middle point between these two? That would be where the energy, the relationship or tension between those two archetypes, the will and the emotions, let's say, is released in a specific point in the zodiac, the exact mathematical point here. So I bet you that 27 degrees, that stationary moment of Uranus and Taurus, hit some midpoints around 27. Yeah, let's find those midpoints. So here's the midpoint table. Now, and as I look across through here, I know this is very small print, but this triangle up here is what I'm going to be looking at. I can see the sun's midpoints with all the planets. Here's the sun, and here's all the other planets. Is there anything at 27? And I'm going to look precisely for very close to 27. Here's 27 Capricorn, the sun and north node midheaven. That's very positive. North node is the path we are to walk. The sun is the hero. The north node is the direction that we should go in to prosper, let's say. So here's the sun. Here is the north node. The midpoint's right in here. Oh, it's right where Jupiter is. Remember Jupiter? So Uranus is also not only trining Jupiter and Capricorn, but the midpoint between the sun and the north node. Oh, that's really good. Good stuff for the Bitcoin price, for the future of Bitcoin. It's hitting some other things pretty close too, like the Sun Mercury midpoint. There's some good midpoints right around there, around that Jupiter. Let's see, and I'm gonna look at the Moon's midpoints to other planets. There's 24. There's 25. There was one with Mars I saw. Let's see. Oh yeah, Moon Mars. I'm looking for 27. Exactly 27. Moon Mars. Here's the moon in Aries in the Bitcoin chart, and Mars in 6 Capricorn. That midpoint turns out to be 27 Aquarius. 27 Aquarius. Is that right? Yeah. So the moon and Mars. That's good. That is drive and ambition. Okay, and desire. Uranus is squaring exactly that midpoint, Moon and Mars midpoint. That's very good. Another positive, and that square is just very dramatic and activating. There it was, 27. Okay, Mercury rules business. Okay, we got Mercury Saturn, 27 Scorpio. That's going to be over here in the 7th house. Mercury Saturn. Okay, so here's Mercury, here's Saturn, and the midpoint right through here in Scorpio is 27. It's the opposite the Uranus station. So Uranus station, the opposition to the Saturn Mercury midpoint. Wow. That's a very industrious, hardworking business aspect, Mercury and Saturn. It's the mind willing to take up the weight and the challenge and the responsibility of something. And Uranus just like woke that point up. It's like, hey, let's get going. Let's get to work. Let's build something. That's so cool. They're both extremely business-oriented planets, especially of Saturn and Virgo, and Mercury and Aquarius being the more technological placement for Mercury. Aquarius is always technology. Mercury exalts in Aquarius. Very good indicator. Very interesting. That was the Mercury doing right at 27. All right, that Mercury Saturn 27. Oh, there's okay, yeah, there it is. Sorry. Now Venus rules money. Oh, look at this one. Venus Neptune 26 Aquarius. Okay, so we're getting that 26, 27 Aquarius point again. That square. That's an interesting one. Oh, it's right in there between Venus and Neptune right here. See, the midpoint's right between those two planets. Okay. That's where, let me see. Let me get my speed fixed here. Okay. All right. So, just, another aspect of, where is it? Here it is. Money, values, and our ideals and hopes and dreams, Neptune, right? that Uranus is stationing right there. It's kind of, I hope I'm not projecting too much of a filter of hopium myself with any of this. Especially when we're dealing with slippery, deceptive Neptune. Okay. But this is generally what I think Uranus and Taurus is doing right now. I think it's moving things forward. Remember, this is a waxing away from all this Aquarius business here. In Taurus, a sign of growth. So that Uranus stationing to the Venus-Neptune midpoint in a square, that's pretty cool. Pretty financial oriented, even though Neptune is a little bit dreamy. Let's say. Then we got Mars. Let me take a look at Mars. Mars, Neptune, 29 Capricorn. Mars, here's Mars, here's Neptune. The midpoint is conjunct Jupiter exactly. That's pretty wild. Think of this. We have the planet of drive and ambition and a very strong placement of Capricorn. Drive, ambition to conquer something. Its relationship to a planet of utopian dreams and ideals, higher spiritual values, okay, ambition and higher spiritual dreams, conjunct the planet of hope and expansion, right? Jupiter, that midpoint between Mars and Neptune, hits right on the Jupiter, coalesces with this planet with a wide, broad vision. I mean, doesn't that sound like Bitcoin in itself? Okay, so what's happening is that Uranus is over here in the transiting chart, stationing, making this big influence right here, in an exact trine to that Jupiter in Capricorn. That's amazing. Which is a very powerfully placed planet in this chart, as you can see, even just through midpoints. Many things are pointing to that Jupiter in Capricorn. So that, where was that? That was along the Mars block here. Mars, Neptune. It's within a few degrees of that. It says 29. Okay, fine, I'll take it. Jupiter midpoints. Ooh, Jupiter, Saturn, 25 Scorpio. Okay, there's that oppositional point. Jupiter and Saturn. Bam. Scorpio opposition. Wow. That's a possibility of great growth, real growth. Say Saturn is the reality principle, Jupiter's expansion and growth. When it's basically optimism and pessimism, Jupiter, Saturn. Two very key planets in terms of how they shape our society and they shape our spiritual lives. That midpoint is being activated exactly by the Uranus station. Could this Uranus station signal the growth of a new society based around Bitcoin? Okay. Chew on that for a little bit. What else do we have left here with Saturn? Uranus, North Node. Okay, that keeps showing up there. There's a few more. They're getting with they have to do with the outer planets. It does show up quite a bit. Right around 27 degrees. What is this? North Node. Midheaven. Getting a little technical here. I know we're already pretty in the weeds here. So those are enough for right now without me getting too esoteric. Ew. Neptune, Pluto. I mean, Bitcoin can get deep, right? People can get very philosophical and deep about it. So that correlates to these outer planets like Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, because they are the most high, if you will, or deep, if you will, spiritual principles of our universe here. The power of transformation, Pluto, and the power of our ideals and visions, Neptune, and the power of social and technological revolutions, Uranus. For example, we got the Neptune-Pluto midpoint is 26 Capricorn. Here's Pluto, here's Neptune, and it's also. So the thing is this here of this section, we said that Uranus was trining that Jupiter in Capricorn. Well, look at all the other midpoints that are lining up with that Jupiter. For example, Pluto and Neptune, bam. Mars, Moon, or whatever it is. Just a lot of midpoints are hanging out right around that Jupiter. That's pretty wild. Very hopeful and promising expansion for Bitcoin. Well, that's all I have for you today, and I hope you stuck through this. Like, share, and subscribe. Over and out.